This AL site. Good morning. Welcome to On Deck, our third episode. I'm Russell Morgan, as always, here with Rob Mosley. Rob, spring training started yesterday. How you feeling?
Hey, it's great, man. Sunday, I'll be at the Red Sox when they take on the Twins in Fort Myers. They have a split squad that day. I'm going to get to see Lucas Giolito. I was hoping that I would get to see Bello, but Bello's the one. He's on the road that day in the split. He's going to be taking on the Braves. So, but I'm still going to get to see. The funny thing is, the last live Major League Baseball game I went to happened to be the Angels versus the Braves on a summer vacation last year. And Lucas Giolito, he got lit up by the Braves, but he started that game. And now I'm going to a spring training game. And lo and behold, now he's on my Red Sox. And so I'm going to see him. Looking forward to it. Baseball's in the air. What can I say, man? I love it. Looking forward to it. Even though my team, as you know, it's not really projected to do that well, but it's still baseball. It's still my team, and I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm trying to find it. For some reason, I'm we got the Orioles. I'm like 12 minutes from Baltimore. Said with Ed Davis Stadium, and every time the Yankees come to town, it's just like $35, $40 ticket. I'm like, I'm gonna spend $40 to go to a spring training game just to see my Yankees play. I'm like, what? I'm gonna see Soto get one, maybe two at bats, Judge one, maybe two, a couple innings of, if I'm lucky, a good starter, and that's it. Spend 40. I could spend $40 and go sit a good seat at the Trop and go see
Oh,
a
I know.
regular
Yeah, no,
season.
you can during for sure to run the regular season.
So, so I
Yeah,
mean, I'm maybe when they play the Pirates, because that's right here in Bradenton too, very close. Which I want to see that because there's a couple guys that I scouted in California that are maybe going to break with the club. So I like that. But still, $40 spring training game. I'm like, wow.
I know. It's just I do it every year just because they come to Florida and it's fun. Last year I actually went and I went to the Pirates there, man. That stadium, it took me a while to find. It's like right in the middle of like a place you wouldn't think there's a baseball stadium there, but
It's in a it's like industrial area. It's
yeah,
weird.
it is. I'm like, man, am I driving? The GPS is taking me here. But last year I went and saw the Red Sox play the Pirates there. Every year we just hop in the car and we drive over there, me and my family, and we catch some Red Sox spring training. We've been to
Well,
the
so they
Orioles where the Orioles play, and they're a couple few years back. I mean, way back when Manny Machado was still on the Orioles, but I went back there, so that's how long ago that was. But it's fun, man. I like spring training. Yes, you pay, but it's just a good
I'm
vibe to be at
gonna
a
get out
baseball
there,
park.
but I might not see the if it, I mean I could get $20 tickets. I mean, like, it's good to just see some baseball. I'm good with that. Maybe when they play the Rays, go for that. And you're in Miami. I'm here in Sarasota, Tampa area. So basically, everything's driving distance. Miami's only a 3-hour drive. Vice versa to Tampa. So most spring training pretty close, pretty driving distance from not a terrible travel, but
Yeah.
definitely nice for me because we got close ones. But all right, I'm gonna kick it off.
Okay.
We all know 2029 Rob Manfred. He said he's going to retire. I have my thoughts on that. What are your thoughts?
I'm happy he's retiring. It can't come soon enough. 2029, though. Why am I going to jump up and run around the room? Because that's 5 more baseball seasons, basically. So it is what it is. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of him overall, and I don't think a lot of the players are either. But hey, at the end of the day, he's just a commissioner. He's not out there playing ball. So, we're just stuck with him for the next 5 years. But like you, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're more or less on the same page. Not a huge fan of him. You can say some of the rules under his watch might help baseball get more eyeballs. It's what their goal was. I guess time will tell on that experiment if it really picks up attendance and fans watching on TV. But no big loss.
Oh, I hate him. I think he's the worst commissioner in all of sports. And it's like you got this baseball, even though people are saying baseball is starting to lose viewership, they still got some of the most money. I mean, produce some of the most money in all of sports. You
Oh
know,
yeah, no, they do for
so
sure.
it's, people say it's dying, but they still produce some of the the biggest contracts in all of sports, as we just saw this past offseason. Who's got 700 million? So I mean, I'm hoping we get a guy who's a little more player friendly. I do like some of the rules. They're starting to speed up the game, maybe bring in some younger viewership, which is good because they definitely need that. They need some more kids starting to get involved in baseball, which is very good. And some of the stuff, I grew up in Southern California, so we have the Urban Youth Academy, which is very good. Trying to get, we definitely see now a lot of African American baseball players. It's more now what we see Dominican, Cuban guys, and if you go back into the history of baseball, some of the greatest players that we've ever had were African American. Obviously, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. So that's something that I hope they continue. And obviously, they did that in Southern California. I know Miami's got that with the RBI program down there is very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2029. It's like thanks for telling me you're retiring at 29. That's 5 years away. But
I know. That's why I'm saying 5 years. I know. It's like, tell me a year ahead of time. So, so that's about it. We don't need a 5 year notice.
we'll jump into some not too much signing. We still got a lot of guys, sitting out there waiting, which is surprising, especially because we got a lot of big pitchers out there. We
I
all know
know Jordan
pitchers.
Montgomery, but he's a Boris client. So Boris will.
We
I know
we all
sometimes the players just need to step up, and they have to listen to their agent. They hire an agent, I know, for a reason to get. But sometimes you as a player just have to say, "Listen, man, I can't be not having some camp. I can't just be
well,
behind."
they need, we all know pitchers are creatures of habit, and they need that time to get ready. But we got a little news. We got a little news for Bobby. They signed Tim Anderson from the White Sox, 1 year, $5 million. Definitely a solid player when healthy. Uh, I think it's a good pickup for the Marlins. I think they're just probably it's a down year for them. Trying to bet that he has a little bounce back. They can get a little trade capital for him because they're obviously playing for the future. What do you think of that deal, Rob?
Yeah, like you said, when he's healthy, I mean, heck, he won a batting title a couple years back, and he's dealt with some injuries. But yeah, overall, he's not a bad signing. He's like a Marlins type signing. He's like, unfortunately, that's how my Red Sox have been acting too. So I can't even throw too much shade. But they that's like a Marlins type signing. Low risk, high reward type.
Yeah,
1 year, 5 million. Like you say, if the Marlins are out of contention and he puts up and's getting on base a lot and has a good average, and he can be flipped at the trade deadline for some team looking for a guy that gets on base, can steal some bases. So yeah, he's not a bad signing for the Marlins.
yeah, I definitely think it's a good signing. Low risk, high reward. You're definitely probably going to see him some activity at the deadline. So as we see, Marlins are just playing for the future, want to keep accumulating those prospects. Uh, All right, so we had a little news the other day. Anthony Rendon, who signed, was it 4 years ago after the World Series, signed a 7 year, $245 million contract. He's played 200 games, and he came out and just said, well, baseball's just a job for me. What are your opinions on that? Him coming out and saying that and signing such a lucrative contract and playing not even a season and a half in 4 years.
What I say sometimes, hey, listen, freedom of speech is great. Telling the truth is great, but sometimes it's just better to do a little white lie or keep your mouth shut, because fans who are working hard every day to just get enough to maybe get to 1 or 2 games a year and be able to have a subscription to watch your team play on the TV, don't talk like that. Just say, man, that it's been bugged. Just I'd rather have the generic. I don't like it. Yes, because to all of them, it's basically a job, but you don't have to say it. I like the guys with the passion and that. And if he was out there hitting 50 homers a year, 40 homers a year, and then saying it, okay, good, he's good at his job, who cares? But when you haven't even helped your team after signing all that money, I think sometimes it's just better to shut your mouth and don't say something stupid. Stick with it. That's why we have cliches in sports, because they work. They say, man, I just want to be out there contributing, man. I love this game. He can say, I love my family, because of course families should come first for everyone. in any job you have. So that can go without saying. I love my family and I love baseball. Boom, that's it. But instead, he went into that. I thought it was kind of, especially since he's not out there playing.
I mean, I 100% agree. It is. I mean, all these guys, baseball is a job. That's how they make their living. But I mean, when you got baseball tickets are so high nowadays that these people maybe can go to one or two games. You want to see these guys in Anaheim. They want to see Trout. They want to see Rendon. They signed him for so much, and he's played 200 games.
Yeah.
So it's a little disappointment where, and personally for me, when they kind of went to the pitch clock, I was like, oh, okay, so, tickets are going to go down a little bit because I'm not going to a 4-hour game. So I'm not going to spend like 130 depending where I go. And now it's like 2 hours, but they're still the same, if not more. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
makes
know
sense.
exactly. But
So we had a couple guys move on. Former World Series champ Eric Hosmer, he's retiring.
yeah,
4-time Gold Glove, great. Won it with the Royals in 15. Great first baseman.
yeah,
You
he
think
played for the Red Sox for a while. So
it was? I mean, after he left the Royals, definitely kind of fell off. But his defensive prowess, he was hell of a first baseman. You think he's a Hall of Famer?
I don't know about a Hall of Famer, but he's good, man. I don't know. So do you put
And
him
then
in that? I don't put him in that
I
category.
don't put
Hall
him
of,
in the guy, but I think he's one of the better defensive first basemen we've seen in the last 2 decades. I mean,
yeah.
the guy, and then we
And
got
he's won 4 Gold Gloves,
4 Gold Gloves. That's saying something. And then Hinju,
silvers. Yeah, no, you're right. So,
and then
and I mean, I'm looking at his career numbers. Well, he had 198 career home runs. I don't know. I don't know if he's gotten to that Hall of Fame, but he's good. Definitely with the glove, he's good and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't consider him a Hall of Famer, but I can see your case for him.
I mean, there's a little case. I think he'd maybe get in late. Obviously, won't be. I don't think he'll. Obviously, no, not a lot of people are first ballot Hall of Famers unless your name's Mariano Rivera or Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Personally, Jeter should have been unanimous too, but thanks for that writer decided not to vote for him. But uh,
Listen, I don't want to hear a Yankee fan complain. That's it. You're out of here. So,
yeah, come on, Jeter. It's most career postseason hits, 3,000 hit club. It's just come on. But thank you for not voting for him. But Mo got in unanimous is definitely
but
I
no
don't
one
care.
had ever been until him. No one had ever been in that.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't care who you root for. You're a Red Sox fan. Mariano is the best closer we've ever seen. And then we got Hinjin Ryu. He's returning to KBO. You a little surprised about this because I still think he could probably have been a serviceable starter. I was a little
Yeah, I know.
surprised.
I would definitely be surprised but maybe he just said, "Man, no one's picked me up," and he just got tired of. I don't know, but I thought for sure. I mean, to me, he's a low risk, high reward type guy. Get you some innings if he's okay, and I'm surprised too, man. I went into mind because the Red Sox being cheap. I went into mind them picking him up, picking some guy that can play because we don't want to pick anyone up for the rotation. It seems
I
like.
mean, he's heading back to the KBO, so Korean Baseball League. It's definitely not the MPL. I mean, they compare that to Thai A, Single A. So maybe he just wants to go home and he can dominate for those another 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I know.
I was a little surprised. I thought he could still be a nice 3-4 starter. Get you if he gets into October, you throw him in the bullpen, eat up a couple innings. This guy's got a lot of experience. Pitched big with the Dodgers. So I was a
Oh,
little.
I'm surprised too. Play for the Blue Jays for a bit and all that. So I don't know. It is what it is. I guess he just maybe if someone would have jumped right out at spring training. I mean right in the hot stove when it started. Maybe I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, like you say. I mean I liked him. I think he's a good option for a bull. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I
But
mean,
hey,
it's yeah. I mean, like we said, family could be important. He's from Korea, so maybe he just wants to go home, do what he loves, and he's going to be close to his family. We spoke about this a little bit. We got some big pitchers still on the market, Rob. And we all know pitchers are creatures of habit. They need time to warm up. You got Jordan Montgomery, who was a massive piece of that Rangers World Series. Blake Snell won this. He won the Cy Young last year, and they're
Yeah.
still out there. I mean, I don't really get it. I mean, these guys, spring training starting. They're going to come into a new organization. You're going to have to get familiar with that. I mean, what are your opinions on
I'm no, I agree with you. I mean, pitchers and catchers reported over a week ago at this point, and it's just like they're getting the work in, and I don't get their reasoning behind it. It's just I know Boris represents Montgomery. I don't. Is he also Snell? I think he's also Blake Snell,
that?
right?
I
So
mean, Snell's asking for the world, which
it,
I mean,
now, I understand he's trying to come. He thinks he's coming off the high season. He won a Cy Young, but overall, he's been inconsistent. He shows promise at time. So teams aren't willing to buy him off one season of having a good bounce back. They're gonna. He may have to eat pride and sign another 1 or 2 year deal to prove it again, or So it's just I don't. People want consistency when you're going to pay that much money for a rotation guy. Pitchers are known to get hurt and miss time. So teams are very, I think, reluctant to pay for the big pitchers at times. So
I
it's
mean,
just
with Snell, it was definitely he had a great year last year, but when the Padres traded for him, you kind of think you're getting a frontline guy who's going to anchor your organization. And besides last year, I mean, he hasn't really done that and hasn't been healthy the whole time. So
and he tends to walk a lot of people, which can
yeah,
get you
and
a
he doesn't, maybe he can get through 5 or 6 innings. So, I mean, I think he'll probably have to come down on his contract demands. It's not getting 290 million, but we shall see. Let's jump into a little predictions. We'll kick it off with our AL East. Uh, we got Yankees, O's, Red Sox, Blue Jays. Who you got winning the East this year, Rob?
I know you're not going to be happy, but I'm not naive. I'm not saying my team. I got a repeat winner. I got the Orioles winning again. I just think with the addition of Burns, they got some really good young players. One of their guys is on the list for Rookie of the Year when we get to those things. But to me, at the end of the day, I just like that Burns pickup, and it's awesome. And I'm really just think that the Orioles, and it stinks because I wish I could say another team because this team is young. It means they're going to be around for a long time. But I'm going Orioles to win that division.
I mean, I'm with you too on that, Rob. As much as I would love to say Yankees, I'm not sold on their bullpen. I'm not sold on their starting rotation. We lost Michael King in that Soto deal, which is that Soto deal is going to make big difference, especially him being a left-hander in New York. But I mean, besides Garrett Cole, I mean, Stroman's had some solid years, and I hope he turns out. But Rendon's kind of a question mark. Hopefully, it's a he feels like it's an on-off year, like he's a San Francisco Giant, where one year he's hurt, the next year he dominates, and that's why the Yankees signed him, and it definitely didn't work out. But I'm not sold on their rotation, which I'm. Besides, I mean, you're complaining we had the AL Cy Young, but I mean, besides that, Garrett Cole didn't have the greatest years in New York before last year. I mean, I think it's the Orioles. Uh, I love what they're doing. I love what they're doing with their young guys. You got Adley Rutschman, who's phenomenal. Who's a guy I've loved since college. I'm excited to see Jackson Holliday, see if he breaks with the club. Uh, you know, was it Anthony Santander? They just, I mean, they got, I mean, and they got one, Jorge Mateo. It's a guy who plays every position. A guy who's on in our organization for a long time. I just love what they're doing, and that Burns pickup just
Yeah.
adds to everything. So I think they repeat. I mean, maybe they don't win 102 games, but I think they repeat. And for me, Miss Fins, I mean, I was a little surprised Otani deferred 680, but I mean, this guy's going to be making so much money made a lot of money with the Angels and is going to be making so much money on endorsements and stuff like that. He can afford it.
No, I know. But I'm just thinking maybe the Angels are mad just because they're like, man, we could have deferred, we could have done work like that or something, maybe. So
I don't blame the guy. I mean, what have the Angels done to prove that they can compete? They've been in one. I mean, you see Mike Trout sitting there kind of wasting his career away, which he came out and said, I want to, retire an Angel and I feel a loyalty. But I'm like, this is a generational talent, Mike Trout, and we've seen him in one playoff series and how many years he's played. So
no, I know. No, it's. I mean, I don't. I knew he was going to go, and I figured he was going to go to the Dodgers just because he wants to win, and that's why Mike Trout is one of the best players ever, and most people don't even know about him because he just played on the Angels all these years.
I mean,
people that like baseball know him, but he would be a name that everyone just heard, even if they're not big baseball fans.
Most people don't get to see him because if you're not on the West Coast, games come on at 10, 11 o'clock.
I know, believe me, I'm dying because the Red Sox, their first couple games are like 10 o'clock my time out here in the East
Well,
Coast.
I'm excited though because the first, we're starting the MLB season. Dodgers Padres are starting in Korea, I want to say, and they're starting a week early, and the game started 6:05 Eastern time. If I was still on the West Coast, that'd be 3 a.m. I'm not going to wake up. Now it's like, hey, I'll wake up at 7. I'll wake up at 6 one day to watch some baseball, watch opening day.
Yeah, no, I know that's cool. But yeah, my team starts out against the Mariners, and it's like 10 o'clock the first game, something like that. So I'm like,
all right, let's move to the Central. Who you got in the Central, Rob?
This one was a hard one. I could almost make, other than for the White Sox, I could probably make a case for every single team to win that division. But I went with the Guardians. I'm going a little different than what you might go because it was hard between the Twins and the Guardians. But with the Twins losing Gray and everything, I'm thinking that maybe that the Guardians, Bieber, to me, Bieber's actually an outside chance to win the Cy Young again. Has a good. I just like them overall, so I'm going with the Guardians.
I like that pick. Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see them doing that. You still got Jose Ramirez there. You're hoping you get a bounce back from Bieber, but Bieber's a guy we've kind of seen in the rumors. So we'll see if they do. I'm going with the Twins. I'm going with the Twinkies.
Yeah,
I think Pablo Lopez, who got traded by the Marlins last year, has a nice comeback year. So I'm going with the Twins. Still got Byron Buxton. Still got they still have a guy like Royce Lewis another year who's a Southern California guy. When I coached at Orange Lutheran in Southern California, he was at Jay Serra his junior year, and this is a guy, just the back control he had as a junior in high school was insane. So I'm going with the Twinkies. If you ever, also this is my little point, if you're ever in the Midwest, ever in Minnesota, go to a Twins game. Target Field is one of the nicest ballparks I've ever been at. They built it like a cupcake. So because they had to build over the train, so even if you're sitting up on the up in the outfield, you still feel like you're on top of it.
okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check it out one day.
I mean, it's Minnesota, so it's not like it's definitely a small market, but it's a beautiful city, and the ballpark's beautiful, which is nice because the Metrodome sucked.
I know. I remember the Metrodome, though. But hey, when I think of the Metrodome, I think of Kirby Puckett and all that. So there's some good memories. Not that I'm a Twins fan, but there were some fun teams.
Great teams. I actually played there in college, and it was fun for about 3 games. And then you're like, I went to school in North Dakota, so played there for like a nice 7-game winter spring break trip, and it was fun. But after about 3 games, you're like, I want to play outside. Why couldn't we go to Arizona or Florida? But it was the last year of the Metrodome before the Twins were moving.
Well, that's cool. I bet it was hard to see pop flies. That's what I heard that it was so hard to
catch flies, and like anytime you dove, you just rip your arms up and rip because it's just the turf was terrible. I think we'll move to the West. Personally, for me, I think it's going chalk. It's going to be the Astros. They're just the consistency of this team. Every time they lose Verlander, they lose Cole, and bam, you bring up Framber Valdez, who could is a guy who could win the Cy Young this year, and then you just add Josh Hader to that. So I'm going the Astros. I know that doesn't make people happy, but I don't see obviously the Angels, maybe the Mariners, and the A's are just a shit show where it's
Yeah.
it's a minor league team, which is sad, but because the A's have had some great teams historically, in the early 2000s.
You have no
But,
love for the Rangers, the defending World Series
oh
champions.
yeah, I mean, I think the if they losing if they don't sign Montgomery, I
Yeah.
mean, and I don't know about Scherzer or Verlander. Or, I mean, Scherzer, DeGrom, DeGrom coming off an injury. Scherzer's definitely getting up there in years.
Yeah.
And definitely, pitched a little and then got hurt and came back in the postseason. But, I mean, I'm going the Astros. I mean,
I'm picking on you, but guess what? I'm going Astros too. Until someone knocks them off their perch, they're still the best team out there. Love them, hate them, the indifferent. They're still the best team. I have the Rangers coming though in a close second place, and then I have the Mariners. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm with you. I have the Astros winning that division. So
I
Scotty
love
says when I lived in Arizona, the Catches League was the best few weeks. Absolutely everyone goes to games, and I love the smaller stadiums.
Oh, it's great. I went to a couple games out there when I was, couple years in a row went out and saw, it was definitely before they had the big, out in Peoria now is big, and Surprise is big, Glendale. I did was it the Giants out there in Scottsdale? If you've ever been in Arizona, Scottsdale, great time, beautiful city. And then Tempe Diabo with the Angels was just great. But yeah, it's unbelievable. Cactus League's fun. Definitely a must go if you've never been to the Cactus League's great time.
I
Looked
love
great.
my grapefruit league, so I'm sure it's very similar experiences.
Oh yeah, I mean it's spring training baseball, but
Yeah,
I mean if you ever have a chance, you probably should check it out. It's a little different, Arizona's a little different than Florida, but spring baseball is baseball. We've been
yeah.
waiting for a long time, so we all went. I went. We both went shock. We both got the O's. Think they're going to repeat. You went with the Guardians. I went with the Twinkies. Obviously, we both think the Astros are winning the West. Let's kick it off. Let's move to the NL. Who you got in the East?
Well, again, this is not any earth. This is like going chalk, as they say. I'm going the Braves. I just don't see anyone knocking the Braves off. I have some other good teams making it as a wild card if we get that far. But as far as just division winners, I just don't see anyone. The Braves have pitching, they got hitting, they have very few holes throughout their lineup, and I can't see anyone other than the Braves winning that division.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you too. I think that Chris Sale trade really puts them up there. I mean, they obviously had the 1-2 with Spencer Strider and Max Fried, and maybe they get was it Mike Soroka back? Who's I think that was his name. That's his last name. I can't remember his first name. He was definitely that was the guy before Fried came up, and he's been off hurt. But I mean that Sale trade is gonna, if he can stay healthy, is gonna make a difference. And obviously you got Acuna and Matt Olson and Austin Riley, Eddie Rosario. I mean, the only other team that's going to compete for the title is Philadelphia, is the Phillies, which could definitely happen because I mean we see the Phillies, they win, they play
No, they're good, and then when they get in the playoffs and they beat the Braves, but in the regular season, I just don't see anyone knocking the Braves off in that
I
division.
mean
But you're
they
right.
play meaningful. I see them as a wild card team. I think it's the Braves to win. Obviously, Acuna, what did he do? The 50-50 last year,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Yeah,
But
okay,
yeah,
so if we're gonna say wild card, I'm gonna tell you my American League. I have the Blue Jay, and you're stupid. Hey, Back It Up Ben's podcast. You'd be happy to know I picked your Orioles to win the AL East. And then I got the Blue Jays and the Yankees getting a wild card spot and the Rangers getting a wild card spot. So those are my wild card teams along with my division winners.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I'm with you on that. I think the Yankees sneak it in, health wise. Rangers. I mean, Blue Jays. They disappoint me. I think they got a hell of a lineup, solid pitching rotation. But I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I definitely see Rangers Yankees as the two. They'll be fighting for a division both, but I think they'll end up getting the wild card.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
not.
what I say. I think that the Blue Jays, Back It Up in podcast, Jeff, thank you for being in here. As you can see, I don't have to tell you what team he roots for. If you can see his logo, it's the old Oriole on there. But I just see the Blue Jays though sneaking into the wild card because I have a hard time. Maybe the Twins get into the wild card because I have the Guardians. You actually have the Twins winning that division. I decided to be a little different because I'm saying, man, I'm going chalk on everything. So I went Guardians. So, but we'll see. But anyway, now we're on to the NL East, and I picked the Braves, and so did you. So
Yeah, well, let's move it to the Central. Definitely, NL Central definitely been one of the recent years and
no, it's a
past
volatile.
always awesome division and always competitive, but it's definitely fell off. So who are you going with the Central?
Again, I guess in the Central, I go away from the grid. Everyone else is going. I'm actually going with the Cardinals to have a bounce back. They were last place last year, but I'm predicting a last to first type thing. They're traditionally a good team. The Cardinals is a baseball town. They did some okay off signing. They got Gray, who I knocked down the Twins for. So I got to say that he's okay, or I kind of look silly. And so I say, even though I know most people are saying Cubs, and I'm in but now I'm with the Brewers trading Burns and seem to be in sellers mode. I got the Brewers pretty down far the list. I got Cardinals as my outside the grid pick to win that division.
Well, Rob, I'm going to let you know the Cardinals actually are the betting favorite right now to
Oh,
win.
they are?
Yeah,
Wow. Because all the predictions I've seen, no one's predicted them.
it's. I mean, I see that. I could see the Cardinals. I mean, you definitely got a solid rotation. You still got Nolan Arenado there. You got Paul Goldschmidt. You got Lars Nootbaar. So it's definitely, and they always seem to. Was it Jordan? Was it Jordan Walker? I think was the rookie who came up. So definitely another full year of him will help. I'm going a little different. I'm going with the Reds.
Wow, that's okay. Man, that's really going off then. I did not know. I looked at the betting favorites for our Cy Young winners and our MVP, but I didn't do it I was just going off my predictions. But I didn't know that many people had. I thought I'd be the only fool picking the
No,
Cardinals.
no. I mean a lot, but I'm going with the Reds. I love what they're doing with young guys. Oh, I can't remember his name. They got another guy who's supposed to come up big. You got obviously Ellie De La Cruz, who's
Oh no, he's an
he's
exciting player.
a highlight reel. I love to see what they're doing, and I think the NL Central is kind of wide open. So I'm going to go with the Reds and give a little love to the Middle America on this, and get the Reds get the Central.
That'd be good. I mean, Reds is one of the historical franchises in baseball, so I mean that would be cool. Cardinals. I mean, that whole division has a lot of historical teams in it,
Yeah, oh,
so
yeah. Let's
it's
move.
just like But to me, I just go in Cardinals. But all right, so we're cool. I
All
think in
right.
the West would be crazy. Not, I think we all know who's going to win the West.
Well, I mean, we won't have to waste much time. I mean, I'm going with the Dodgers for obvious
Yeah.
reasons. I think the D-backs will probably get in a wild card, but who you got?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I got Dodgers winning, and the D-backs getting a wild card. So same exact thing. I mean, it's going to be hard now. Whether the Dodgers get to the World Series and win it, that's their big issue. They always find a way to lose in the playoffs. But as far as this over 162 game season, I just don't see with that rotation that they have, that lineup they have. It's just insane, man. Because when you get to the MVP odds, they got three guys like in the top five for MVP. They got, we'll get to that when we start doing our MVP predictions. But it's crazy. They're really good. They got the guy from Japan. He's the unknown, whether he's going to be, a top of the end rotation, but from the stuff that he's shown so far, I mean, the highlights, you see him over there, he just looks like he's another good guy to fit into an already well-oiled machine. So I got the Dodgers winning that division.
Well, hey Scotty, I see your sentiment on the Yankees buying rings, but if we're going in the last 20, 25 years, the core of those rings was not bought. You had Jeter, you had Posada, you had Pettit, you had Mo, Bernie Williams. Those were guys. Obviously, in 2009 was a little different story, but I mean, the core of those guys who were winning from 96 to 2000 were guys that are coming up through. So, I mean, if we're going off of the Yankees buying rings, they didn't buy too many rings after they lost in 03 to the Marlins, which was a heartbreaker for me too. But I mean, buying rings, they won one ring. They won in 2009. They haven't won much since that. That's when they went on that big spending spree, which besides, Teixeira and CC, who were the guys who were really around. And, AJ Burnett, who was with the Marlins there, didn't really pan out too well. So, I mean, I see why people say money, but I mean, after they lost, in 2003, came back, lost in 04, the Red Sox in bad fashion, and 09 they
Hey, that's not bad fashion. That's winning in great fashion, and that's historic. But anyway,
but
I get your point. As a fan, I'd be really mad.
Disagree. I mean, I could maybe they're trying, but it didn't really work out, and we don't really see it work out all the time. Maybe it'll work out for the Dodgers, but who would have predicted the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the World Series last year with what they have?
No, I know. That's why I say you just never know once you get to the playoffs. But for division winners, yeah. But
and even the year the Braves won, the Dodgers were the hot. It's even though the Dodgers have all the names, it's who's hottest going into the playoffs. And the years the Braves won, they got hot at the right time and won it all. So I mean, just because you're the biggest offseason winner like the Yankees were, a lot of the times, obviously, in that salary cap, paying other teams money doesn't always work out. It didn't really work out for the Yankees, even though they won in 09. I don't think that spending all that money, you're just be satisfied with one World Series title.
No, I know. Yeah, and well said.
All right. Well, my wild card is tough in the NL. I got D-backs. I got Phillies, obviously, there. I mean, I could definitely see the Cardinals getting in. Maybe the Cubbies.
That's mine right there. And my wild card, he's not in here today, but normally Josh Wingate would be in here. I got his Phillies getting a wild card, Cubs getting a wild card, and the D-backs getting back to the playoffs and getting a wild card. So those are my National League wild cards.
And I think the Phillies could definitely push for that East title. It's a definitely team that's an unbelievable environment they got there at Citizen Bank. So I could definitely see them pushing. But I think the Braves are just too loaded this year. And after a little disappointment of last year, I think they will take the East. Well, let's move to the Cy Young. We'll start off with the AL. Who you got winning the Cy Young?
Well, again, my Back It Up Ben's podcast is going to be happy because I'm going with the newly American leaguer. I have a whole bunch of guys listed, but I'm going with Corbin Burnes for my Cy Young. I'm looking at it this way. He's new to the American League, but it doesn't mean as much now with how they play the schedules and everything, and you see all the teams. But still, he's new on a new team. He's going to be on so far. He's playing, they could extend him or whatever, but right now he's playing on a contract year. I see him putting up the Cy Young type award winners. I'm just trying to look at some of the other guys I had An under the radar guy I have is like Dylan Cease of the White Sox. Maybe this is a year he finally puts it all together. He's out there in the trade rumors all the time too, though. And then Shane Bieber, but you also got some other chalk guys: Kevin Gossman, Cole. Your guy is Doug. Doug, front runner for the odds, and Garrett Cole. But I'm going away from the chalk. I'm going all the way down to like one of the fifth guys rated for odds, and I'm taking Corbin Burns of the Baltimore Orioles to win the Cy Young.
I mean, I like that pick. I was leaning that way. I'm not a guy who likes to obviously went a lot of the same way on our division projections. And obviously, if this was maybe a couple years ago where we didn't have the DH in the NL, it'd be a different story because
Right, because
obviously,
now they have it, so you know what they do against a D. That's what was my reason. I should have brought that. Good point.
oh, and we definitely, it's definitely obviously the AL's obviously always been in history a better hitting division because of the DH, and you're going to have to face 9 batters, 9 offensive players. But I'm gonna go a little different. I'm gonna stick with that Astros team. I'm gonna go Framber Valdez.
Yeah, no, he's up there too. We got, like I said, yeah, he's good. He's a good one, man. But I just decided to go a little bit off the reservation, and I pick. So
Either
hey,
that
that's
or
good, man.
my sleeper would be Pablo Lopez with the Twins.
Yeah, the Twins. Yeah, he's really good. He's actually up on my list too. I wrote one of the names I wrote down. So,
All right, so let's move to the NL.
um,
Who you got?
well, this one I'm going to what seems to be this one. I did look up odds because I wanted to see at least get some names that I may not have been thinking about. But I'm going with he's the guy I had in my mind before I saw the odds. Spencer Strider of the Braves. I just think he, towards the end of last year, he was probably the best pitcher in baseball or among them. I know he didn't win the Cy Young. That went to Blake Snell, who's currently on the free agent market still. But Spencer Strider is my pick to win. Nothing shocking there. I just think he's going to put up a good season if he stays healthy.
I mean, I was leaning that way too. I think Strider's the best pitcher in the NL. I'm gonna go Zach Wheeler. Contract year. I think he's gonna come out and have a big year.
Yeah, no, he's good too. He's right up there under on my list. I got Spencer Strider, Zach Brillen, Logan Webb, Zach Galen, and what's funny, it's a Japanese guy. He's way up there in the rankings, but none of us have even seen him pitch in the American League. I mean, in the major leagues, and now he's gone to the National League, of course. But he's way up there in the
Yeah,
favorite.
I could definitely see Gallen. That was a big piece of that postseason rotation. Obviously, a frontline starter. I could definitely see him sneaking in and getting there.
And my under the radar guy is Tyler Glass now, who they got from the Rays, because he's never really all put together. But when he can, he has the stuff to be an ace. And he could just be like kind of under the radar there, not as much pressure because he has a lot of other studs on that team. And he could just go out there and do his thing. That's my keep an eye on under the radar. Tyler Glass, no, on the Dodgers.
Well, Scotty, diehard Yankees fan, grew up a Yankees fan my whole life. My dad's from I grew up in LA, but you can go with I never liked LA teams. You can go with your family teams or you can go with your hometown teams. Never a Dodgers fan, so I grew up a Yankees Jets fan. Was good when I was a kid, and hasn't been as great since. Even though we're definitely still competing. It's New York Yankees. You want titles. Competing doesn't get the job done.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Ben's is an Orioles fan, and yes, I'm a Red Sox fan. And like I said, my reason's simple. I've explained it on the show before. Born and raised in South Florida, old enough not to have the Marlins even as his thing when I was a kid. So I had to pick a major league team. I picked the Red Sox. Jim Rice was my favorite player back in the day. And lo and behold, I stuck with the Red Sox and when the Marlins came around. Because when you're a kid, that's when the passion for like two teams I would never move off of no matter under any circumstance. Miami Dolphins and the Boston Red Sox. Only reason I wouldn't root for them is if they went out of business, and I don't think any one of them is going out of business. So so that's it. It's like those are my teams I roll with through the thick and the thin, and that's it. So that's how I
Well,
became.
We'll go off a little side note. Obviously, I grew up. I was born in '91, so Yankees won a lot in the '90s. Oh, you got to be a front runner. You're from LA. Why are you Yankees fan? My dad's from Yonkers, Bronxville, New York. So those are my teams. My dad, he's a Thurman Munson guy. But then people are like, "Oh, you're a front runner." I'm like, "Well, I'm a New York Jets fan," and they'll be like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah. Why would I be a front runner if I'm picking the Jets? But if I'm only picking winning teams, why do you go with the Jets?" So it's always like, you pick winning teams, and I say I love the Jets, and they shut up. Everybody shuts up quick.
Yeah, I
Like,
know exactly. Just like if people say I only root for winning teams when the Red Sox are having a good run a few years ago, I'd be like, listen, I'm a Dolphins fan too, so
well, I mean, I got up on you there. I'm a Jets fan, so you guys have definitely won more than us recently. Even though
Yeah,
they haven't won much since what? When's the last time the Dolphins won a title? '70s.
yeah, well, yeah, they haven't won a title, a Super Bowl for 50 years, and then they haven't been in the Super Bowl since Dan Marino's second season in the NFL, and they haven't won a playoff game since December 30th, 2000. So it's been a long time since we've had success. But yes, we've been better than you in the regular season the past couple of years. So we do have that. We do at least we swept you guys this year. But other than that, it's been a long time as a Dolphin. Scotty's with me. He rolls Miami Dolphins too. So he normally checks out my Miami Dolphins show.
All right, let's move to the AL MVP. Who you got, Rob?
This is another tough one, man. Let me see who I go with my list, and then I tell you who I'm going with. Obviously, Judge Soto, Jordan Alvarez, Corey Seager, and Julio Rodriguez. Those are the top guys that I've seen most people. I just like go and I see different people's. Those are the ones that came in the most when I was searching, trying to get opinions, doing research. But I'm going with last year's running up, Corey Seager, to win. I just think he's really good. He was one step away. I just think he plays a primary position. If he puts up good numbers from that, I just see Corey Seager winning the.
I'd say
And
that's
I know
it.
it's going a little bit off. Everyone's gonna. I think of maybe Judge and Soto. They're both so good, but if one of them is going to win and the Yankees are doing well, the New York people that vote for votes may split their vote between Soto and Judge, and maybe a surprise like a Corey Seager pops in there. But I mean, it's going to be hard because Soto playing in that porch in right field is going to be scary. It's going to be very hard for me to see him not put up monster numbers. Judge, we already know, puts up monster numbers. So to me, those are really it. But you being a Yankee fan, I couldn't bring myself to picking a Yankee in front of you. So I am going Corey Seager, and only mainly because I'm thinking Soto and Judge may have votes taken away from them if they both ball out this year.
I mean, I like that pick. I love Seager. I always, growing up, being in LA the last, when he was there, I love Seager. I love what he does. Unbelievable shortstop. I love his approach at the plate. I just, I think he's hurt right now too, and health has been a big concern for him. I'm gonna make back it up podcast. I'm going Adley Rutschman. I love Adley Rutschman, what he does behind the plate. The guy's a stud. So I'm gonna stick with that Orioles. I'm not gonna go with my team.
I'm impressed. I
with
do have because
with
I go here are my under the radar picks: Bobby Witt, Kansas City; Adley Rutschman, who you just picked, and never count out Mike Trout because he can have a bounce back year. I know he's getting a little older, but now he doesn't have anyone to split votes with, and Mike Trout could have a really tremendous year.
I do like Soto and Judge. I think that's going to be big. I think they're both have a solid year. Just definitely, he's going to have. You're not Soto. Yeah, definitely hit those like button guys. Likes button guys. I think Judge and Soto have a big year because he's definitely have that protection that he hasn't had. But I think with the toe injury we saw with Judge, he got last year. Thank you, Dodger Stadium, for putting cement in there. Is going to be a constant concern for the rest of his career. And obviously, being a bigger guy, injuries is always something you're going to have to fight. The guy's 6'7". He's always going to be fighting injuries. So I'm going to go Adley Rutschman and continue that Orioles. How we're rolling with the Orioles.
So, Steve, if you can't see, Scotty's asking a question, and I can answer and he's an Orioles fan too, man. I'm outnumbered by all these division rivals today, so it is what it is. I need some Red
Orioles
Sox
fans are
fans.
out. I mean, I don't know if they realize I guess we're AL East guys, but you got Red Sox, Yankees fan, and we're getting bombarded by Orioles fans here.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, but yeah, it's all good. But yeah, hey, we need to put a show together. We need to find a Blue Jay fan or something. We could have an ALO East round, hot table talk, hot corner talk, so but we will need to find a Blue Jays fan because I'm sure it's easy to find a Rays fan. There's one here on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Joss Kimmo's a Rays fan, so it'd be easy to do. We just need to find a Blue Jays fan. But anyway, are we done with all of our? I think that's it, right?
We got the NL. We got the NL. We got the NL. Who you got for the NL winning the MVP?
Oh, that one. It is another one, man. That was a hard one to come up with. Who did I finally? I scratched names off the list actually, but it's going to make one of. I know who it is, but I want to see all the names I had. But it's going. Of course, everyone is saying Acuna. That's chalk. And to me, it's really hard, honestly, to go against Acuna. The guy runs, hits for power, steals bases, plays it out there. But I'm going way off the chalk. I'm going with a guy that has won it before. I'm going with Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies. To me, he's still one of the best players in baseball. He's going to be at first base. Less chance maybe getting injured, running around out there, hustling in the outfield. I see Bryce Harper having an MVP type year, and I'm going with Bryce Harper. I was looking for my notes though because I did so many names. Oh yeah, I did Acuna. Oh yeah, part of the reason because you got Acuna, Betts, Ohtani, Freeman. So there's 3 Dodgers that are top of the line MVP candidates. My only thing this year, Ohtani falls a little bit because he's not going to pitch at all this year. He's just not even going to be in the field, so just strictly a DH. So that's like a knock against him. So then Betts and Freeman, they could actually knock each other out, like I said, in the voting because everyone they split 3 votes and whatever. So I went with Bryce Harper. But all of those guys, and all 5 of those guys that I wrote down, Acuna, Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Harper, they're all really good, but I'm going with Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper's a good pick. I definitely think Acuna, Betts. I'm going to go a little off track. I'm going to go a little off board. I'm going to go Corbin Carroll.
Wow, there you go.
I love
under the radar. Corbin Carroll, Austin Riley, Matt Olson are my under the radar.
Yeah, I love Corbin Carroll. I think it's a stacked NL, so I don't know if he's going to win, but I'm definitely not going to just roll with Acuna. Betts, I think Betts gets it. I think Betts is one of the best players in baseball. The guy does everything right. Ultimate team guy. But let's go a little different. Let's go with Corbin Carroll.
I like it, man. I have him on my notes too. Right? I always go under the radar last, but I had him on there as my under the radar. And I think he has a really good chance to win it. He does it all like that 5 tool that you guys scouts like to say.
This guy's got 5 tool. He's amazing. This might be a little tougher. Who you got for rookie of the year in the AL?
In the AL, I have to make sure I keep on saying so far he's projected to make it out. I'm going with a guy I've seen play live a couple times. My son's seen him play live many times. And my son, he played all the way through high school baseball, but it's not that talent level. He goes to University of Florida as a student, So you probably already know my hint at this point, but I'm going with Wyatt Langford. I've seen the kid live. This guy he's another guy that can do it all. He's a really solid guy, and I can see him maybe getting in there. And because I know Jackson Holiday of the Orioles, but I don't want to pick everyone Orioles. We got to really make all these guys. They think I'm pandering to Steve and backing up Ben's podcast because Jackson Holiday, from what I hear, if he makes it out of camp, as you said, he's another exciting guy in the Adley Rutschman realm of young prospects of the Orioles and that, has a great future. Rutschman's already proved it on the major league level now, but he's another one that's up there. And another Texas guy. So kind of going against my theory. He performed really well in the playoffs for the Rangers last year. Carter, he just, he had a phenomenal, helped them basically become World Series champions, but he's still eligible to be Rookie of the Year this year. But I'm going with Wyatt Langford out of the University of Florida. I think he was the second or third, or no, the third pick overall of the draft just last year. And I just see him making the team and going Wyatt Langford.
Oh, you mean obviously I'm a scout guy, so I got a ton of names. I do think Evan Carter definitely is going to win. Definitely a big piece of the Rangers. I think will help them get back into the postseason. So I think it's him. Obviously, it's Jackson Holliday there. I mean, the guy's exciting, not even 20 years old, flying through it. And he's got the prestige of the name being Matt Holliday's son. His actually younger brother is a top 2025 prospect in all of baseball right now, or 24, 25. I can't remember which one. So he's got the name. I just don't know if he's going to break with the team, which obviously baseball changed that. You can get a first-round pick now if you get a top 3 Rookie of the Year. So I mean, I think it'll be Carter, but I got a lot of names. Was it Wyatt Langford? I was high on that kid at Florida. He's fun to watch. I thought he could have maybe made a little impact in the postseason last year. Another guy I really liked it. Let's make the Rays fans. Junior Camarino, I think is how you say his name, with the Rays. He got a little cup of coffee last year. I want to see Brooks Lee with the Twins out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I mean, there's a handful of guys from Southern California that I scouted. Ricky Tiedeman's one, was a guy who really jumped off his senior year. He's with the Blue Jays. But I think Evan Carter gets it. He's definitely got the, was around there during the postseason run, the World Series. So I think it's going to be Evan Carter.
Hey, some good stuff. So I know he did. He proved he can play at a high level in critical times. So yeah, he definitely has a jump. But I have to show a little Florida bias, and I'm going with Wyatt Langford.
I love the pick. I guess there's a handful that I think that draft was very good. First 3 picks in that last year draft, we could see all 3 of those guys being contributors. So let's move to the NL. Rob, who you got?
I have a few listed, but none really jumps out because so many of them are. I'm going to let you defer because they're from. I'm going to pick one just because that's what we have to do. But 2 of the top guys are from Japan, so we've never seen, and they're not really. They're rookies as MLB standards, so they still count and can be eligible for Rookie of the Year. You got the pitcher from the Dodgers, Yamamoto, and then you got the guy the Giants signed, who I'm going with, Hung Hoo Lee. I probably messed his Hoo Lee of the Giants. His numbers over in Japan were phenomenal. Of course, it's a whole different. He's coming to face major league pitching on a daily basis now. So we're going to see. But some of these Japanese guys do prove to be good and can hit here. And I'm going with Hung Hoo Lee. But then you got the Jackson Churro of the Brewers, and then Marte, another guy on the Reds. I know you like the Reds as to win the division. I got a guy, but most of these guys I don't even know. So I'm gonna go see if you know any prospects or is it all like?
Oh well, I obviously we're all excited to see Yamamoto there with the Dodgers, but I think they got a strong 1-2-3, a good back, so I think that kind of takes away a little bit, and they definitely got a strong bullpen, and we haven't seen them at this level yet, even though the MPL is definitely strong division. I'm going to go a little off. There's a handful of names I'm really excited to see. I'm going to go Pete Crow Armstrong with the Cubs. This guy's from Southern California, Harvard Westlake High School, powerhouse. They had Lucas Giolito went there, Max Fried, and Jack Flaherty. I think he breaks with the club. and it's
Okay,
going to
I
be a
did see his name up there when I was, but I didn't really
yeah,
know too much about him.
so
I did read about him, and I do see he had a lot of high regard
a
for him.
lot of hype. Was a hell of a high school player, and has moved through. Uh, but the guy I really want to see is Paul Skeens with the Brewers.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's gonna be interesting. He's like just out of college last year, and
and
that
this is a guy who's just a stand up individual. Was I scouted him when he was a junior, was 6'4" as a junior catcher pitcher prospect, and committed to Air Force because he wants to he's his goal was to serve. He wants to give back to the country, and then played at Air Force his first 2 years, and then realized, hey, I can be the number one, a top 5 pick in the draft. Transferred to LSU, but even came out and said, after I'm done with my time with the baseball, I'm pretty sure he's going to be going back to the Air Force to serve. So I mean, like, this is just a guy, even though I don't think he'll win because I don't think he's going to break with the club right off the bat. They might give him a little more time in the minors. Is a guy who's like, hey, this is a guy you could, you know, advertise as the face of baseball because he's such a great individual and a guy the young guys could look up. And obviously dominated in the College World
oh no, he
Series.
was dominant, man. He was dominant in the college.
Exciting to see. But I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong's a guy I really like. I want to see if Dylan Cruz with the Nationals breaks, gets a little cup. He was big with LSU. Jackson Chirino, Jordan. I mean, the NL is definitely loaded with guys who could win the Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's it. That's why I'm going to listen to Russell more on the National League, American League guys. I had really guys I've actually seen play, or at least heard a lot about and stuff like that. I go, man, most of these National League guys, I go, I don't even know that many of them. So I
I
go,
mean,
Russell's scouting background will fall. But I had to pick one. I went with that Hung Lee, but we'll see. I'm just banking on his professional experience over Japan, translating here, and him just be up and running playing baseball.
I mean, I would say we go to Coach of the Year, but hell, I don't know. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't even look at that. But I would say, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's like whoever has a surprise team that has a year that no one. So that's something that we can do in our mid All-Star break forecast, like when you get a little more feel of the what the season's looking like. Because right now, like you say, I mean, it's hard to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited. I'm happy we're doing this. I'm excited. Spring training right here, baseball around the corner. So I'm pumped up. You got anything you're looking forward to for the season? I know your team's maybe on the downslide,
Yeah,
but
no, I'm still gonna get the MLB extra innings package. Still watch them all the time. Still read about my Red Sox. But this year, now that I'm doing this and that we're more, because as you know, on my football channel, I'm strictly Dolphins, and on this channel on Tuesday nights, I'm strictly Dolphins. Here, I'm not gonna be strictly Red Sox. I'm gonna be all. So it makes me do a little more broad because that's my fandom. I can tell you a lot about the Dolphins, but when you start saying all these other teams, I don't know much about them, unless it's like the Chiefs winning the freaking Super Bowl every year. But most of the teams I couldn't tell you who's on the Seattle Seahawks and all of this kind of stuff other than their stars. But it's just like, but here now it's going to be more fun. So I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to make
there
sure
you
I
go.
watch.
There you go. Well, as always, this is on deck. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Russell Morgan, always here with Rob Mosley. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us.
make sure if you guys haven't done it, hit those thumbs up. It helps the channel, especially a new show like this. So thank you guys. I almost said fins up. Play ball. Have a good day.